Okay, so this is my last video diary for the QAA Scotland. I was just going to reflect, I guess, on the future, or to think about the future rather. I think what has to change as a result of the pandemic is we have to really consider our practice and how we approach learning and teaching for the 21st century. Because we're already in 2020, but if we really ask ourselves, how much, to what extent are we preparing the current generation for the next 20, 30, 40 years? I think that we're still quite behind. I think we have to take this opportunity to make sure that the current generation has a range of skills that they can draw upon. Not just one skill, not just their subject. So if they're studying marketing, for example, they need something else. They need something else that can complement what they're learning. Me, as an example, I studied languages, and then I went on to study education. If I could go back, I would study programming. I would study some kind of technical skill that I could use to create, right? Or maybe even a trade, so that I could do things around the house in a bit more meaningful way, creative way, something that gets my mind ticking. But we really need to think about, I guess, the jobs at the moment and what may be coming in the future. Because we don't want to develop, or teach rather, a generation that ends up knowing only their subject and their subject alone. So in this regard, I think we really need to, as educators, make serious steps towards ensuring kind of digital development of our students, making sure that they can understand how to do a range of things, from creating media to manipulating it, to using collaborative technologies. And the way we can do this for our students is we have to integrate this into our own teaching. So the traditional lecture is interesting, but it shouldn't be the only way, for example, that learning and teaching is delivered. We should kind of forefront some of our learning and teaching by giving it to students, in smaller chunks before they come into the classroom. The pandemic, I think, is going to accentuate the digital inequities, of course, but it's also going to show that we need to change things as far as how learning and teaching is done. As far as face-to-face is nice, but it's more of a luxury for some, right? Think about your commuter students. That's a lot of time that they spend on the roads going to and from home to sit in your lecture. And if your lecture is not very interesting, they will be demotivated, right? It's very hard to hear and say, but we've all been there. We've all had a lecture, a session that wasn't particularly interesting. And those of you who may say, well, I valued everything. Great. You're in the minority, right? The majority needs something that's not entertaining, but inspiring. It gets people really thinking about things. COVID-19 has shown, I think, us that there are so many opportunities. We need to collaborate not only with the next county, the next city, the next country, but transnationally as well. Because we've always had that opportunity, but we've not done it. And we've always wanted someone to come face to face. But I think COVID-19 has shown us that there's actually a lot of opportunities for cross-national, cross-cultural collaboration, which can inspire the current generation of students to appreciate what's over there more, right? Because when we appreciate the other more, we learn how to empathize and work with other people in a kind of range of ways, rather than just thinking from our own perspective, which we think is right and we may think is the only way. But for example, critical thinking, you can look at it from an Aristotle perspective or also a Confucius perspective, for example. It's not just a Western way. Those are just some of my thoughts, and I hope you found these video diaries useful. Thank you very much.